Wait, Quinn
Castelane.
Castellane. Okay.
Castelane. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. All
It's
right.
funny because I'm going to Italy soon and like everything is like Castel or Castello. And I'm like, it's so close.
Castellane. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. And today I have Quinn Castelane from Block Therapy. He is the VP of Block Therapy. And I invited him on the podcast basically to learn more about the fascia, because as you know, this podcast is about fascia and the different type of modalities and the importance of it. So, Quinn, welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast.
Hey, Ian, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So I always start off on my podcast to introduce to the audience who you are, what's your background, and then most importantly, who you're with and how did you get into fascia?
Yeah. So I essentially started working in this whole industry. So I'm now like the vice president of Block Therapy, as you mentioned, but Deanna is actually the founder of Block Therapy. And it's funny because when you have your aunt being the founder of this company, she would always work on me when I was really young. So I was trying to go professional in hockey. Then she would do these certain weird massages on me that I didn't fully grasp or understand, but I knew that I felt so incredible after. And I'm like, this is different than a normal massage. So I was, when I turned 18, I was getting more and more into bodybuilding. And that was like really my passion. I was working at Popeyes. It's a supplement store here in Canada. And yeah, yeah. And I loved it there. I'm like, I'm getting deals on supplements, on bodybuilding. Like this is the best job. And this is right when I'm, of course, going into university. So then my parents were out of town. Deanna came over just to kind of hang out. And she's like, so how's university? I'm like, I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. This just doesn't feel like right. I like the health, the wellness, the bodybuilding. Like that's what's intriguing me. So then she's like, why don't you start Block Therapy with me? Like I need more people. Like this would be great if you joined. And I'm like, I'm all in. Literally within that week, I dropped out of 2 courses when my parents were out of town. And I stayed in another couple courses just to satisfy them. But it really all started from there. And then I started off as a block therapy instructor. I was the first block therapy instructor. So I was teaching when I was 18. And that took a lot of confidence and preparation, but also understanding the fascia in the body at a fairly young age. And I recognized how powerful this tool was at decompressing your fascia, especially from the aspect of bodybuilding. Now, I was going to the gym and just destroying it, right? Like, I wasn't smart in the gym. I'm like any other teenager that's just trying to build muscle, be stronger than the older brother, try to pick up girls, like anything to work in my advantage, right? And this tool like was the best recovery supplement. It helped me even like improve more blood and oxygen flow. And I noticed that my pumps in the gym were better. So like there's that whole phase where it just helped me so much in my bodybuilding career. But then it got to a point where I had to take a step back because I realized that I would spend 1, 2, even up to 3 hours a day on the block. Then I would go to the gym. I would try to hit new PRs with squat, deadlift, bench, whatever it was, right? And then the next day, I would wake up feeling like I got hit by a truck. And sure, that could be my CNS, but my fascia felt more compressed than when I started. So this is where I needed to understand what was I actually doing to my body? What is the fascia's actual role here? So I would then feel that these old patterns were locking up because you're just trying to get from A to B, as whether you're conscious or unconscious of the movement, right? And then I started literally had to stop bodybuilding because my body was in pain. And I also had, this is when I turned 20, I had to start working more on the business side of block therapy because I went from teaching for a couple years and then I'm like, went more into literally building the company. And I lost 25 pounds of muscle not working out. And I'm like, this is my armor. It's just gone. Do you know how many years it took me to build this up? And now it just is away. So that like hurt my confidence. So I'm like, there has to be a better way of training where I don't feel that I am taking 2 steps forwards with the block, but then 3 steps back. There has to be something more complementary. And that's when I really started understanding biomechanics and realizing that I don't have to throw the heaviest weight around in the gym.
Mhm.
That's it's just such an egotistical thing. So just working through the ego was a massive thing as well. Like you don't have to try to bench 315 pounds anymore. It's like you tried it, but you're hurting. You don't have to barbell row 300 pounds. That makes no sense. That's just not a realistic movement that you're going to necessarily be doing in everyday life. So I started going down this path deep, deep, deep into biomechanics and understanding that there's such a good pairing with this. And you can continue to work out, you can continue to throw load on the bar. And I ended up realizing that, hey, our body is asymmetrical. It's asymmetrical by design. We're not going to be perfectly symmetrical. So why am I chasing something that's just not realistic? And so I started doing these assessments on myself, realizing where I'm asymmetrical and how I need to build this approach to use the block to create a release, and then put together a training protocol to start rebuilding these new neurological pathways, firing up muscles that weren't firing up before, but then also understanding the fascia. Well, I'll get more into that. I don't want to get too weird right now, but ultimately, I went through this crazy journey of from bodybuilding to stopping bodybuilding, then having to figure things out on your own. And that's kind of where I am now. I'm just really trying to figure out the best ways to move and integrate block and seeing how we can continually improve ourselves and our community.
Yeah. So going back on block therapy, like why did Diana come up with the name block therapy? Because literally a yoga block, all right? Or is this what you're talking about? A block therapy, like a yoga block, or kind of explain it? Because like maybe
No,
audience don't know what it
yeah,
is.
totally, totally. It's so this is our block. We
Okay.
have two different sizes. This is the block buddy. This is the block baby. It's a smaller version of the block. And it's made out of now elm. It started from cedar, then bamboo, and now reclaimed elm. And they're all made in our hometown, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And we built a factory about a year ago. So we manufacture many of these blocks and then ship them globally. So we use wood because it shares more of a similar density to bone. I like using something that's more natural, especially if I'm on bare skin. You can even work in your face. And really block therapy, like I didn't come up with the name. That was Deanna. And this logo here was her old practice that was called Fluid Isometrics. So then she used that logo, put it onto the block because fluid isometrics was the hands-on technique. So
Hmm.
block therapy is really taking Deanna's hands-on technique that she developed when she was about 30 years old. That was like 25 years ago, and tried figuring out a way how everyone can do this um, by themselves throughout the world. And that's what's so cool about the internet now is we can just ship the tool, give you the information virtually, and you can do all of this work with us.
Okay, so how does this block therapy work on fascia? Because when I was kind of doing my research, noticing like, of course, the transformation that you went through with block therapy, like, is this something that anyone who doesn't know much about fascia can get into and maybe find some results, or do they have to know more about fascia? Like, I mean, what's the level of complexity of, fascia work? Does someone need to know?
That's a great, great question. The first thing is vast majority of people who do this don't know what fascia is. We'll explain it to them and they can understand and recognize that they're going for a massage and they're getting their muscles worked on, but in part you're also working your fascia. So you don't really need a knowledge base around our fascia, but just for the audience's purpose, just the quick brief Coles Notes version of what fascia is and then how block therapy helps is it's your connective tissue. It's your extracellular connective tissue that holds anything from your cells to your muscle fibers, bundles of muscle fibers, muscle bellies together. It holds literally your systems and your structures as well. So your organs. This is what connects us. It's very different than just a muscle where there's like an insertion, an origin. There's no beginning or end to this fascia. But what can happen, and this is what's super interesting, we can start developing these adhesions that build up within our fascia. And ultimately, our fascia is composed of primarily collagen.
Hmm.
There's some elastin in there, but then we have this ground substance. And this is more of that fluid like gel substance that allows the fascia to slide and glide. It needs to be strong, our fascia, and it's responsible for distributing force, tension. So if we are sitting all day in the same position, slouched or asymmetrical, or too asymmetrical, I guess, that builds up these adhesions. You're doing a repetitive action all the time, or there's so many reasons. Even injury can cause these adhesions to build. The gel-like substance or ground substance starts to get a little bit more dry, which makes it more sticky. When it becomes more sticky, then the fascia can't glide as effectively. So it's like literally getting stuck. Think of like saran wrap, but then it's stuck together.
Hmm.
Block therapy's role here is to you literally lie on it. It's as simple as this. You lie on the block for a minimum of 3 minutes, and we instruct you how to do this properly, of course. We tell you to connect to your breath, teach you how to open up, release your diaphragm, and by utilizing the pressure that we're applying on the block, connecting to our breath, we're starting to create some heat and a release to allow that ground substance to open up more space to allow more fluidity. That's essentially what we're doing. So we're restoring the glide in our fascia so that when we move, we don't have like an ache, or if there's a pain somewhere in the body, or really whatever the issue is, these adhesions can get extremely powerful. And it's really dependent person to person. It could be a small adhesion that developed a week ago. It could be an adhesion that was there for 20 years, 30 years. So it depends how long it's going to take to release the adhesion, and that's why we use wood. It's not soft. It's pretty dense, but it allows us to drive through all of these layers of connective tissue, even to the bone potentially, to release, restore the glide, restore the fluidity, and ultimately just improve this connection within our musculature, with any communication, even within the fascia, the nervous system, the circulatory system. So ultimately, you don't need to really know what the fascia is when you're doing it. Just as long as you're following the protocol that we teach you, then you're going to be safe. This will be effective, and you're going to feel the changes.
What are some past or even present stories that you heard of personally of how block therapy has changed or has helped, people's lives through this?
Ian, you just broke up a
Oh,
little bit there.
okay.
Can you
Sorry.
just repeat that question?
Yeah.
It could be my internet connection here.
Okay. I'm just asking, like, what kind of stories or stories have you heard of people using block therapy and how it's helped them? What were they going through?
Mm,
How did it help them? So forth.
yeah, great question. And this is where it was challenging to communicate to really people, and even in marketing, because block therapy has helped people with a myriad of different issues. Now, anywhere from chronic pain, where people have tried everything under the sun, like everything, even surgery, and they weren't able to heal and manage their pain. And pain is a very complicated subject, but when we start to connect to something to release the fascia, which can also store trauma, it can store emotion. There's some research that's talking about that. Then you're starting to bring things up and actually let it go. Using your breath helps you actually kind of like push this out of your body and your system. Also learning the biomechanics of the body. If you have an adhesion somewhere and that's inhibiting your hip to internally rotate, well, if you release it, now maybe it's starting to internally rotate more effectively, and you are now curing kind of your hip pain, right? So it's anywhere from different kinds of pain all throughout the body, even to migraines. So much of this is tension built up. And it's not just muscular tension, this is fascial tension, anywhere from scoliosis to big misalignments. Now, I'm not saying block therapy cures scoliosis. What I am saying is that there's many people that have written to us saying that they have improved their scoliosis drastically from doing this, finding areas of compression, the cause sites to the pain sites. There's been people that have lost a tremendous amount of weight doing block therapy. I don't know why. Like, legitimately, I don't know how that works. I would love to do scientific research on how did this one lady legitimately lose 100 pounds in a year solely doing block therapy. That's the only thing she did. Now, that's not for the average person, right? Some people
Hmm.
might lose a few pounds. They might create more length in their core. They might decompress some of the tension that could be strangling their fat cells, whatever the reason is. But those are some of the main reasons. And then from more of a vanity perspective, a lot of people are noticing changes in their face, their skin quality, even from cellulite. I find that really interesting. That's where Deanna is really focusing on right now and working with estheticians, because rather than just putting all these things on your face, what if it comes down to understanding these fascial adhesions and how that's actually blocking flow to rejuvenate cells? Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, honestly. And I'm bringing more in the athletic component to this and learning how to actually train your fascia, how to strengthen your fascia, how to understand the biomechanics of this, and getting that fascial recoil. That's more of the realm I'm starting to go down. But you can't start anything like that, from my opinion, until you really start releasing these adhesions, or else you're training your body off of more of a dysfunctional foundation, more of an asymmetrical foundation. So yeah, those are pretty much like the main ones. I'm sure there's more that's somewhere in my head right now that I can't think of, but there's some pretty incredible results.
It's amazing. I think definitely. I mean, you're talking about Diana and the whole like um how the face. I mean, yeah, like you're saying, interconnected, head to toe. I mean, covers everything. So it makes sense that yeah, there could be work done, and the breath work. I find that it's such a key thing for in a lot of these modalities, especially like what I do as a fascia stretch therapist. Is like if you're holding on to tension
Mhm.
in the breath, you're not able to release it and to get deep into that stretch. But same with yours, like it's focus on breath work on this block. So I like to know, kind of give us a snippet of, the process, the protocol of block therapy, because a lot of my audience members are practitioners like myself or who work on fascia, interested in fascia. So just kind of give us a snippet of overview how one person would put block therapy into their daily life. What would that entail?
Okay, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit there
Okay.
again, but I'm gonna try to repeat what you were saying just to make sure. So essentially, how can other practitioners integrate block therapy into their routine?
Sure. Yeah. If that be the case, yeah. How would they be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, regardless of what your practice is. And I always say that block therapy is a complement to other modalities. I think that there's so many important things that we need to be doing. From it could be working on mobility, it could be doing certain stretches, it can be certain strength training, it can be doing isometric co-contractions to help people to work through these neurogenic tremors, to start rebuilding these neurological connections. Ultimately, block works in well with a lot of these, and you can do this for 15 minutes a day. And the first thing that we always teach before a class is the belly position. And the reason why is because that teaches you how to breathe more through your diaphragm. It decompresses a lot of chaos going in your organs. Will it reach your psoas? Potentially, maybe not reach it, but there's going to be enough sandwiching kind of going on there that it's going to provide some sort of relief. And it feels absolutely incredible doing that. I think doing the belly position every day for a week or two, just to get a sense of what this feels like, you're going to notice some pretty significant changes by just focusing there. And 15 minutes, that could be 3 positions, 5 positions a day. So we do it more from like a position perspective. So let's say you're wanting to go to the gym. You might want to block for 15 minutes before on certain areas of compression. Maybe you want to block your feet. The feet are so incredibly important to release, and how that can change literally everything up the chain. If you're doing more of a focused workout in a specific area of the body, maybe you want to open up the rotator cuffs. Maybe you want to open up the anterior chest wall. It's something that once you have a good understanding of what it is, you can kind of do with it as you will. But I would always recommend that people start off by following a class in our starter program. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to follow the sequencing of what we put together so people aren't guessing, making sure that they're doing this safe and proper. I just lost you there, Ian.
Oh, no. Quinn, hello?
All
I'm
right,
still
I
here.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
You're set. You can hear me still?
Now it's like echoing, reverberating.
Okay.
So
Let me
maybe come back in, or maybe try to do that.
Okay, I'll leave here and come back. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's it's you're breaking up quite a bit. I don't know if I'm breaking up either or what's going on.
Really? Okay. But can you hear me still?
I can hear you
Or
now,
am I?
and then there's times like your
Mm-hmm.
screen will freeze, and then I can
Freeze.
like kind of
Yeah.
hear you, then it cuts out. Then I hear a little bit here, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to piece this together as best as I can."
Yeah. I don't know why. It's been doing that to me for a couple of times too. So I'm like right next to my window. So I know my Wi-Fi is right upstairs,
Right.
which I'm not using. I'm using my data.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I hopefully it's okay.
All good.
Um, but what you call it? I just have a couple more questions left. I think you're talking about how applying block therapy with practitioners. You're talking about the belly position. That's kind of where we left off.
Okay. Yeah, so ultimately, like how you can incorporate this in, let's say you're doing the belly position to start and you're doing that daily for a week or two. Following the classes is probably the most ideal start. That's the whole point of our starter program. That's the ideal start. And you start learning how to really decompress the connective tissue throughout your entire body. We split this into body parts. It can be the core and the rib cage. It can be the pelvis. It can be the lower extremities. It can be the arms. It can be the head and the neck. And that is the best way to start. But once you have a good understanding of what we're doing with block therapy, then you can start to work in areas that you feel can fit. So if you're wanting to do this before or after a gym session, you might want to work in a certain area. You might want to work on your hip, and you might want to work on your foot. So you can mix this in kind of with anything, because when you just have a generalized understanding of fashion, what this can do for you, the practitioner needs to feel this for themselves. It's something you really need to feel and sense, and what changes this is making. And then that's something that maybe is a really good fit for the practice that you're doing. And you might want to also share this with your clients as well. But we like to say minimum 15 minutes a day. Try it out for a few weeks, a month, and feel the changes.
So as far as the business and where you guys see for block therapy, what you guys is 5, 10 year goal, or even more down the line, do you guys have something that you guys have in store for block therapy and how to expand it?
Yeah, that's always a fun question, because no matter what the goals or the projections that we have, we're always open to going with the flow in a sense, and just seeing what opportunities present themselves, because we didn't think we were going to be building a factory. It happened because we needed to. The demand was so high that we couldn't produce them out of this other area in Winnipeg. But ultimately, my goal, and I can say this confidently with Deanna as well, is just to help literally as many people as we can, because it's so simple to do. It is so effective, and it's something that you can do at home. You can bring to the gym, you can take on an airplane, you can travel with it. And even if I'm going through bouts of anxiety, doing the belly position for 3, 5 minutes just helps. And it helps you calm and connect to your breath. So it's ultimately as many people as we can, get as many people teaching block therapy as we can as well, and integrating this into their practice. And I personally would love to start integrating this more into fitness, coming up with new ideas, but also getting some research, getting some actual
Mm,
fascial research done with block therapy, because it's hard to do, but it's really cool when you get it done. And I am so intrigued, because I've been reaping these benefits and results for 12 plus years, and so have many other people. But if we can actually get solid scientific proof of and evidence of what this is actually doing, that would be really neat. And with all different kinds of issues, it could be anywhere from, let's make it easy and say pain, maybe low back pain or frozen shoulder, plantar fasciitis, but also some other things. Like, I want to be careful with what I'm saying, but Deanna's worked with people with Parkinson's and they've noticed some improvements. But why? You know, we understand the fascia and how well it's connected to the nervous system, but it would be really interesting to get some legitimate data. And that would be a really cool 5-year goal for us. I would love to see that. 100%. Absolutely, absolutely. And just being like that helps. Sorry, I think there's another little break there. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, I was just saying, like, being able to actually get that data, and you're saying like a collective effort, like bringing 30 people through some sort of protocol and doing like before and afters, or actually seeing what is actually going on when you're lying on the block and what it's doing, would just be like the coolest thing. So anyways, I think I interrupted you there. 'Where do I see fascia evolving in the future?' Just wanting to clarify, that was the question. Okay. Right now, how I'm really starting to see and understand it is that there has been this model of muscles, bones, all these systems that we understand, but fascia is so far behind, and the research. And there's some phenomenal fascia researchers out there, like Tom Myers, give him a ton of credit for what he's doing. And I would love to see that people are starting to understand how multidimensional movement is incredibly important, because we are so sedentary. Majority of people are so sedentary. We're so in our heads because we're always on a phone, we're always on a laptop, we're always thinking, thinking, thinking. How can we bring ourselves more into our body? And if we can give more respect to fascia and get more research done to actually understand how critical this isn't just like the stuff that holds the important stuff together. This might be that really important thing in our body that we just were kind of throwing to the side for a very, very long time. So I think that is where I would love to see where like fascia research is going, and just being able to respect the fact that we're human. We're going to have adhesions throughout the body. This is from our fascia. This isn't just from our muscle. Treat the body with respect by doing some sort of fascia decompression, lengthening, and then training the fascia multidimensionally, not just in these traditional fitness approaches. Because as I mentioned, I went down that route and it caused a lot of pain in my body, a lot of limitations in my body. So I would love to see more people talking about how we need to move as this full body connection, how everything in our body influences another part of our body. That's part of biotensegrity as well, right? Like one area in the shoulder could be actually affected by the foot. So if you're just trying to strengthen your rotator cuff, it's not necessarily going to fix the issue. We have to look at this as an entire system. So more people really promoting that type of movement, more fascia health and fascial hydration. That's where I really think this needs to go. Hey, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So You can learn more about block therapy. Our website, nice and simple, blocktherapy.com. All of our social media handles are at block therapy, so you'll find those. I post some slightly different stuff on my personal page. Mine is just my name at Quinn Castelane. And that's really where you can contact me, contact us, learn more about block therapy. And if interested, you can get your own block and get started right away. Thank you so much, Ian, for having me. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.